What up, y'all? It is your boy, the one and only Ace Switch, bringing you yet another episode of Switches Sites, episode 12. Today's date is July 5th, 2019. Just off the cusp of the 4th of July. Happy 4th of July to all folks that did celebrate the Independence holiday. Hope you had a good one. But yeah, so we have a good wealthy amount of news and progress that I'd like to share with y'all, discuss about today. And I think we'll get into it. So, first news item today we'll go over is, excuse me, by the way, kind of off the cusp of a cold sickness, if you will, so maybe I might sound a little bit more, raspier, baritone even than usual. But either way, first topic of discussion, Mordhau racism controversy. So for those who don't know, there was a recent article from PC Gamer covering a problematic topic, which is rampant racism and toxicity in terms of specifically at least the Mordhau community. In their forums, there's apparently a lot of rampant racism going on that isn't being checked, or at least at the time wasn't being checked. Maybe now, I guess one article or forum post they mentioned specifically is post your niggas, and by niggas they do KNIGGAS. So it's like there's clearly no disguising that. That's blatantly you have to pronounce it nigga either way. So still, it's just it don't add up. So basically that forum post is for people to post their really good builds that they've made in Mordhau, but I mean that's just straight up racist, man. Straight up racist. Not even right. So yeah, but on top of that, at least according to the article, they do express that a lot of this is rampant among the forums, whether it be just comments, a lot of various comments that are just being blatantly racist and stuff like that. So kind of having that context, they said that they are planning to make a update that will have more creative options in terms of making your avatar female, as well as different skin tones, which currently isn't in the game. You can only be a white male currently. So but with that being said, they're now they said at least that they're making an option to cut that option off for people that don't want it. So basically, if I'm a person that has Mordhau, I have the game installed and whatever, I have the option to not enable that option basically for other people to see other people's customization if they want to be somebody but a person of color or a different gender, which basically defeats the purpose of customizing, because what's the point of customizing if other people can't see your character for the most part? It just doesn't make sense outside of getting DLC packs that you haven't bought yet or something like that. But outside of that, that really no blatant reason to do that out of trying to appease the racist people that play the game, as evidenced by blatant racism already in the Mordhau forums and Discord and stuff. So with all that being said, the racism and all that, basically that was the statement that the developers Criterion, I think, made in terms of the game initially, but now they double backed on or rescinded or basically contradicted themselves and said, okay, now, no, we're not doing that. We're actually going to cut that option off so everybody will, see the customization options of, different genders and stuff like that. So, yeah, does not look really good for those developers of Mordhau, in my opinion. Just to, on something so racy of a topic, even if it's supposedly a mistake, still does not make them look good, especially when you add more credence to the fact that they also, what they mentioned in the article, that they don't have a valid system in terms of policing folks that are out of line or, going against at least, I guess, common guidelines that pretty much any game generally tends to follow. So all that together is not a good look in general. So I do have the game. I played a little bit of it, but man, I did not know of all this racism. I never really checked the forums. I wasn't that hardcore into the game at all. But this kind of makes me want to turn the other way, to be honest. And then also with Medieval 2 coming out somewhat soon, I want to say. I don't know. They really have to do some significant changes to make this game viable for me personally. So, but yeah, I found that interesting that, just how they let a game just be so rampantly racist and not doing anything about it, at least from the article and what they've kind of stated, it seems like they want to quote unquote give people a lot of choice and not be too strict or whatever. But at the same time, it's clearly some things that are just blatant boundaries that anybody playing any game shouldn't pass, which at least these folks, I believe, have kind of let run rampant, maybe out of fear of outcry and people not playing their game or not going to play their game anymore because of a simple option just to add more diversity to people in a gaming environment. Doesn't really add up to me. So, but yeah, that is interesting. And just goes to prove that racism is still alive and well in a fair amount of ways, unfortunately. So, next topic of discussion: the final wave of Xbox backwards compatible games have been announced for the Xbox One. So of those, at least some that stands out to me personally, original Xbox, mind you, the whole Splinter Cell saga, Splinter Cell, Pandora Tomorrow, Chaos Theory, Double Agent. I am curious about Double Agent. Curious if it's the, I believe from the article, Xbox's Wire article, they say it's the original Xbox version, but I know they made a 360 version of Double Agent. Curious if that is, if that's also, if the 360 version is available, or, because I know me specifically, I haven't played the 360 version, but I'm not sure if it is maybe better on the original Xbox, kind of like, some multi-platform games or, cross-generational games that release on both the previous or current gen at the time and then the next gen. Somewhat curious about that, but at the same time, I'm not complaining because they did give those games the insane graphical upgrade where it's basically you can play these original Xbox games, the first Xbox that came out, mind you, on 4K resolution with 16 times the pixel count on Xbox One X specifically. Xbox One S, you'll have a lesser resolution, but still a noticeable jump, I'd say. So, then of those other games too, for the original Xbox, Armed and Dangerous, a game I've seen a lot and really wanted to play, so I definitely plan to mess with that. I think I have it, but I've yet to play it. Story of my life, I have it, but I have not played it. Indiana Jones and Emperor's Tomb, I think I have this as well, and same story, I have not played it. Unreal Championship 2, the Leandry conflict. I tried playing a little bit of multiplayer when it came out way back. I think now, still currently you can't technically play online with the original Xbox games because they did technically officially cut off Xbox Live support. But I know at least one workaround technically is to use if you have a PC, use a service referred to as there's a few of them like Xbox Connect and Xlink Kai, which basically tunnels you to play games with people. So let me break that down a little bit more. So basically, one other component I forgot to mention is LAN. And by LAN, basically, like if you had a Xbox, probably the biggest, most popular example will probably be the original Halo, where you can basically link up multiple Xbox Ones up to, I guess technically 16, up to 16 Xboxes, and then whatever multiplayer game that supports LAN, because I know not that many, but there are some games that only support Xbox Live but not LAN support. But if it does have LAN support, where essentially you basically play the same multiplayer that you would be playing online, you can basically trick your Xbox to play LAN games over the internet through the said program Xlink Kai, which basically picks up your console's internet adapter and then basically tunnels it to whatever client or person you're trying to connect to via a online game. So pretty cool workaround solution for games that used to be online, specifically on the Xbox One that aren't anymore. At least not. I messed around with it. At least I can speak for Xbox Xlink Kai specifically. I had a really good time. I had really good connectivity. I know one game specifically I wanted to play was a Spike Out Battle Street. So a 4-player co-op beat 'em up game that you can like drop in and drop out, which I did manage to play with this one guy. It was a pretty good time. I had didn't really have any lag. Specifically with Chaos Theory had some issues where it wouldn't let us connect for some strange reason. I think it was like a version difference, I want to say, in terms of like he might have had the UK version or the PAL version while I had the NTSC version possibly. But nonetheless, in general, it does work. I played, messed with Halo 2 with it. SOCOM even though they're a little bit more elitist and strict, like, okay, no newbies in here, even though, I don't know, I'm not necessarily a newbie. I'm familiar with the game, or at least to some realm. But nonetheless, for those that may not be aware, that is definitely a cool, viable option to, still get some life out of some of these multiplayer games, with that being the case. So, but yeah, really cool either way there. Then also for the Xbox 360, a lot of the rare, there's been a lot of rare love being spread, where there's Xbox One X enhanced updates for a few of the titles like Banjo-Kazooie, pretty much the whole trilogy, Cameo, Perfect Dark Zero, Viva Pinata 1 and 2 as well. So those basically got the 4K uplift for those games, and even if you have the either the digital download version of 360 or the rare replay version of the game as well. So pretty cool pretty cool stuff. And then also some more fan favorites. There were just some I'm a spat out that come to, or at least catch my attention. Searle's Wrath, the original Skate, Enslaved, Odyssey to the West, King Kong, Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official movie. So all these have gotten the uplift to 4K as well. And then pretty much after that, they said that this is basically a final thank you to, you know, everybody that has supported backwards compatibility, and that you know, this is basically the last of support for Xbox One backwards compatibility. So I mean, looking back at all the games that they are currently supporting, this is actually very substantial and you know, pretty great achievement, and definitely sets the tone for like future console games that will be supported, or you know, hopefully with Project Scarlet that this will keep going, maybe into an even better extent, even greater extent. I don't even know how much you can go for outside of 4K. Maybe for the original Xbox One titles, that they can be maybe upscaled to 4K now natively to some extent or something like that. That'd be pretty cool. But overall, definitely very satisfied with Xbox's support and backwards compatibility. I know a lot of people, that's actually has attracted a lot of people that maybe were on the fence of, you know, maybe getting a Xbox One after maybe getting a PS4 and things like that. Well, yeah, definitely been very pleased. They freaking released Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, probably one of my favorite multiplayer games of all time. So that was my biggest one that I really wanted, and I've been satiated, I'd say. Yeah, out of these titles, this is the one that I blatantly like really want. But then I'm like a very rare outlier because I have my 360 still hooked up to play whatever games that aren't on here, or, you know, things like that too. So, but in general, I think the support has definitely been very, very great. They've been listening to everybody. There we go. We've heard you. Guys, we've heard you. We're going to support every console that you've ever known to man. You can play it right here on Xbox One. Something like that. I don't know. But yeah, no, I've been very pleased with their support. Kind of sad that I don't think Nier still made it. That's probably one I kind of wanted, even though I'm still trudging through it on the 360. But other than that, yeah, been pretty pleased with Xbox's support so far. Hopefully they can keep this going. Maybe are able to natively bring all this over to Project Scarlet when that releases the next year, and then keep even adding even more games. That'd be pretty great. So yeah, I felt like that was worth mentioning. At least the last wave of support for the backwards compatible games, but definitely a great note to end out on either way. So okay, next topic of discussion. So hitting that rumor mill. We go into that. Is a rumor mill? Is that actually? I don't know. But either way, rumor is going around that Modern Warfare 2, 2019, or the reboot, will have a 200-player battle royale mode. And the Infinity Ward dev addressed the rumor with no comment. So this would be pretty interesting in terms of if it is true, because I think that's technically the biggest you can get when it comes to battle royale. I think some other battle royale games have came out that have tried to do somewhat of a similar thing, like, you know, have a 1,000-player battle royale mode or something like that. I want to say, I think it was some game that was trying to do something similar, but I totally forgot. But either way, definitely the, I guess, option is there to do that. In my head, I keep thinking Mag for some reason, because you know that Mag, that one game on PS3 made by, I think, the same people that made SOCOM, Zipper Interactive. We're making a immensely online multiplayer game that had like, I think, 1,000 people or something like that, something along those lines. But yeah, I don't know. I was thinking like, this is Mag is back, baby. But interesting nonetheless. I did fairly enjoy the battle royale mode from the previous Call of Duty Black Ops 4. So, and technically they kind of tested it out, at least with Blackout. So I think they started out with the player count to 80, and then they bumped it up as they kept going. So maybe they found some cool loophole or something like that that made it feasible to have that amount of people into a game. So here's a few tidbits. Also credit to Vestran in terms of making the original post. I believe this also in reference to a video made by the Gamer Revolutions as well. So here's a couple of interesting tidbits. At least I'm looking through the article now. It's a lot of stuff they're working on. I'm not really gonna touch those. It was something that stood out. Oh, you can deploy out of an AC-130. I thought that was kind of cool. Kind of reference to Modern Warfare 2. I hope you could somehow get that. But then again, kill streaks aren't in the original Blackout anyway. 4-player squads are only thing up and running. They tested the map 152 players, and it's supposedly 3 times bigger than Blackout's map size, specifically in size at least. Close quarter and open areas, I have a assortment of those. Unlike Blackout, the system in this upcoming battle royale will follow the same footsteps as titles like Fortnite. So every weapon in the mode will have preset attachments which cannot be changed or removed. The rarity of the weapon and attachments will depend on its tier level. Interesting. So that's interesting. Interesting. I'm fascinated. Generally, I don't really stick with Battle Royale that much. At least I know specifically for Call of Duty, for Black Ops 4, I just mainly played just the multiplayer. I never really played the Blackout mode that much, especially because the multiplayer was so like perfect and or really great at the least. I never really had a desire to play Blackout. I don't know, just the game aspect of it. I just don't really. I don't know. I didn't really find consistently enjoyable. It's hard to, I don't know, just having that long bouts of no action to, then go into action and then some cases not pay off technically, and then kind of having that loop. I don't know. It felt more discouraging than anything to an extent. I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe I just suck. I don't know. But nonetheless, I thought this was pretty interesting. I'll definitely try it out for sure. Will I keep playing it either way? That's I guess to find out, or to be found out. But definitely, if any game would get me into a battle royale, probably would be Call of Duty. I think I played in terms of the battle royale game I played the most. I felt time wise is probably Apex Legends, probably Apex Legends. So I don't know. It can do something different. Might get interested. So next topic of discussion. According to a website, pushsquare.com, sources, rumor, let me put that before anything. Rumor indicates that PlayStation is trying to bid for buying Remedy. as a sole company, to make exclusive first party games for their platform, presumably. It's pretty interesting. For those that don't know, Remedy are known for, I'd say, at least me personally, most recognizably, the Max Payne series, at least 1 and 2. Excuse me. Rockstar took the rights, I think, to Max Payne, and they made Max Payne 3 specifically. But still was a great game either way. I think also Remedy helped Rockstar to some extent, I want to say, making Max Payne 3. Not extensively like 1 and 2, but I know at least to some extent, maybe a very slight extent helping them, I want to say. But either way, yeah, that was a great game. Well, definitely one of my great favorite games of all time. So, yeah, they definitely have a lot going for them. They made Quantum Break, which is the latest title they made that had at least time exclusivity with the Xbox One, and then came out on PC as well. So technically it's console exclusive still to Xbox, but then their next project coming up is Control. So that's going to be on multiple platforms, including PS4. So this would be a pretty good pickup. I'd be interested in what game they would want to make. Personally, I would like a personal, somewhat semi-spiritual successor to Max Payne, considering they don't technically have the rights. I believe Rockstar still has them to Max Payne. Maybe, hopefully, they possibly will maybe make a deal where they would give the rights back since they're not doing anything with it in terms of Rockstar. But I don't know. I do not know, but maybe. But then on top of that, maybe Remy just wants to, not even be in the confines of, Max Payne in general and stuff like that too. So maybe they just want to do something completely different either way. So all in all, I hope it'd be some cool third-person shooter where there is shoot dodging or slow bullet time mechanics to it. Which technically Control has, but it feels more sci-fi-y and less John Woo-ish, which I personally gravitate towards, but nonetheless, it'd be pretty great either way. Also forgot to mention that they did make Alan Wake 1 and 2, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Alan Wake 2 is technically not a thing. I keep getting that mixed up with Alan Wake's American Nightmare, which is basically like an Xbox Live title that basically felt like a sequel to an extent. It was more arcadey, but at least story-wise, it felt somewhat of a sequel. But either way, I also heard recently, I think they got the rights back to Alan Wake specifically, so that's interesting. Hopefully we might get maybe a collection of one in American Nightmare or something like that. That'd be cool. I'd probably more than likely would double dip, see what's going on. So, but yeah, that's pretty much all that's there. But that would be definitely a really great pickup for PlayStation if they manage to do it. Personally, I would like Remedy to be their own and, stop with all this exclusivity stuff and make life much easier and greater. But, hey, business is business. And, hey, if that's what gets Remedy going, keeps their bank fat, if you will. Do what you got to do. I'll still support the game. But, if I had my preference, definitely would prefer to be on as many consoles or platforms as possible. So I think generally most game publishers or companies would want that, but business and reasons, of course. So all right, moving on to the next topic. Boy, this one was a burner, I'd say. So Shenmue 3 Kickstarter will honor refunds and offers the Steam keys with a 1-year delay. Goodness. So to add some context, so Shenmue 3, the game that we all thought never would have existed, did come to fruition somewhat in 2015, where they promoted a Kickstarter for the game to actually they actually went on the Sony press conference, announced the game, and asked for a Kickstarter. And then after, like, it was like shortly after the announcement, like, it would manage to be one of the biggest Kickstarter games known to man or something like that. So they did meet their goal and all that good stuff. And then recently now with Epic, Epic Game Store, like, just trying to snatch any and everything that Steam ever had, is basically like, you know what? Hey, at least allegedly, or presumably what probably went down is like, hey guys, I believe Ease Interactive, the people that are technically developing the game, like, hey guys, yeah, Shenmue 3. How about you don't bring that game to the Steam store, but bring it to us first, and we'll give you a better cut of it all. How about that? And basically Ease now like, oh yes, please, God, oh man, we were struggling a little bit. We had to push our game back to November. Please help us. Probably not like that, but I'm purely exaggerating. But just either way, they definitely went with Epic. So now they have an exclusivity, a 1-year exclusivity with Epic Game Store in terms of the game being released specifically on the PC platform, exclusively on the Epic Game Store for 1 year. And then after that, then it will be released on Steam. So this is basically in turn what caused this issue. But the biggest issue I could definitely see is the fact that, people bought the game or kickstarted it to even get going, to be even funded as a game, to even be developed, or even get to this news article in general, is that people are on the expectation that we were going to get the key for the Steam store, or if anything, that they would still have their Steam keys honored if they bought kickstarted the game to get the Steam version of the game. But now basically they pretty much rescinded on that, like, yeah, we'll honor your Steam key, but basically 1 year after Epic, who give us money and exclusivity after their 1 year deal is done. So that kind of sucks for you guys. So I don't know. Good luck with that. So I could totally see the burn here, because it definitely, you feel kind of betrayed and double crossed to an extent, that, like, it's like you don't want to get the Steam, you don't want to get the Epic Store version of the game. You want the Steam version of the game. That's what you expected when you bought the game. That's what you kind of want. So all those, any feelings towards that are totally valid, considering that, you paid your hard-earned money. Well, not even like to just buy the game, but for people that specifically kickstarted the game, put their money to fund towards the game actually even becoming a thing that would even be possible without the people that kickstarted the game. So definitely can see why a lot of people are angry and upset about that, because I totally would too. I don't think I kickstarted the game. I definitely highly considered it, but ultimately I did not kickstart the game. So yeah, good thing, at least in retrospect, I did it. I probably might have went with the PS4 version either way, but yeah, this kind of puts some perspective on stuff. But yeah. But I guess kind of piggybacking on that news, there was some more progress happening after that specifically. So Tim Sweeney of Epic Games said that they will cover future refunds and work with other stores to ensure key availability for crowdfunded games that go to Epic, that are Epic or go to be Epic exclusive. So basically, clearly Shenmue 3 being a prime example. So basically what they're saying is that any game that people originally kick funded or crowd funded, a la Kickstarter. If they were in this predicament, which pretty much Epic Games kind of started or caused, they will actually would be taking care of the refunds themselves instead of Deep Silver, who I think is the publisher for Shenmue 3, as well as EaseNet also, so they don't have to deal with the repercussions financially. It would be Epic Game Store who would deal with that ultimately, which is good in terms of specifically for EaseNet and Deep Silver, in terms of the creators of the game not having to deal with that backlash twofold because of something that Epic Games kind of proposed or did, So that all in all is definitely good news there. I mean, it still kind of sucks for people that don't want the Epic Games Store version of the game. So, I mean, it's all bad either way. I mean, I know people are kind of maybe caught up on it's just a launcher and stuff like that. But I mean, much more than that, to be honest. I mean, Steam has a lot of stuff that Epic Game Store doesn't, Steam Link, which lets you play your game from the Steam interface or Steam PC to your TV or device. Stuff like that is kind of tough to leave behind, and you all having all your games in one centralized platform, maybe with the caveat of some games like on EA Origin and Uplay to some extent and stuff like that, but still majority of the games that you want are there. And even for some of those games that are on the Ubisoft store and stuff like that, you can actually get the but yeah, even though it still launches the Uplay version, you have to get Uplay version in general. But still, generally, I totally understand it. Just having all these launchers that launch what game, you don't remember what game you have that is on said platform. If is it on Epic Game Store, is it on Steam, is it on Valve? Valve is Steam. Is it on Epic? What is it? Origin? Is it on Uplay? Is it on GOG? That's a lot. That's a lot of stuff to deal with. A lot of clutter in terms of software you have to install. That software will update itself with consistent patches and stuff like that. That can conflict with other programs that you already have and stuff. It's I totally understand. Being somewhat of a leisurely or moderate PC gamer. I understand the pain greatly. I just from all of what I spouted, definitely is annoying, but I kind of see where EaseNet is coming from, at least from what they said in the article a while back, that they said Shenmue 3 isn't going to be the final Shenmue, or they said something along the lines that there's more story to be said in another Shenmue or something like that. So, I mean, if EaseNet is looking at the long game, I can see why they're trying to, get some exclusivity. Having that significant discount in terms of your games on their store is definitely pretty hard to pass up on, from that aspect. So it sucks, but at least it's not like permanent exclusivity after a year, after the game's kind of been forgot about and the whole hype train has passed. It's unfortunate, but I get it at the same time. It's business, and boy, Epic is coming at them throats. I swear, man, they are coming at the jugular and the nuts at the same time. This is crazy. But either way, thought that was pretty interesting. I'd say this, I don't think EaseNet has anything to do with this. I'm pretty sure it was specifically Deep Silver and Epic specifically, the publisher of the game and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure that's where it probably all went down ultimately. So I wouldn't blame, the creator of Shenmue 3 for this specifically. I don't think that was any of his doing. He was probably fighting for keeping the Steam keys or something like that. But I don't know. I feel like it could have been a pretty good median. Like maybe people who already bought the Steam versions of the game via Kickstarter would still have that honored. But, for anybody like myself trying to get the game now or whatever, pre-ordering it before it comes out, can only pre-order from the Epic Game Store until it comes out a year after. I feel like that still would have been a pretty good median. But, hey, as long as Epic is taking care of it, that's pretty notable, because they could have been like, you guys got to deal with that backlash. You can come on our platform, of course, and you get that discount, but we're not taking care of those refunds. That's too much. So, good on Epic specifically, for doing that. So, cool. Interesting stuff. Interesting dynamics. So next topic of discussion. So Pokemon. For those that may not know, there's been some controversy going around, specifically with the transferring of Pokemon that you've already caught, and this kind of ties in conjunction with Pokemon Home, which is basically going to be the new centralized Pokemon bank, if you will, to my understanding, that you can basically, any Pokemon that you've caught across multiple platforms, whether it be Pokemon Go, the latest Pokemon that came out on the Switch, it was Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. And then I think some of the previous Pokemons that were on the 3DS, Pokemon Sun and Moon, and I think maybe some older ones potentially. So basically, with the new Pokemon coming out, Sword and Shield, this year, later this year in the holiday, it's said that only the Galar Pokédex can be transferred to Pokemon Sword and Shield from home. So that at least implies that none of the Pokemon from other regions or other gens will be transferable unless they appear in this game, natively. So that kind of sucks for a lot of people that, are specifically hardcore Pokemon fans that just want their favorite Pokemon in this game, or, as long as they transfer it over. I could totally see the outrage and, just disagreement in terms of this development decision, which is apparently what it seems like. So there are a lot of Pokemon at the same time. I think it's like getting to like, in terms of genuinely new Pokemon and maybe new evolutions of existing Pokemon, probably like, I think it's in the 600, 650 range, I want to say. So that's a lot of Pokemon assets to, do various attacks, animations and stuff like that. Even though I know for some you can just do a simple copy and paste and stuff like that. But I mean, that is a lot of content for Pokemon that have, various animations and, tendencies and how they look in the environment, stuff like that. So that is a lot to consider. But yeah, overall, I totally understand it though. It's like all your hard work with existing Pokemon that you've caught, and at least specifically, maybe Pokemon Go, put a lot of effort into traveling various lands and traversing for how, I don't know. But yeah, that kind of sucks. That's pretty painful. Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe to give some context in terms of my history of Pokemon, I was a pretty big Pokemon fan when I was younger. At least nowadays, I've not been into it as much. I know I picked up Sun and Moon, but I've played maybe a few hours of it, but never fully got back to playing them. Outside of Pokemon, I'm trying to think of anything else now. Yeah, that's it. Also, excuse, you may possibly hear this lawn mowing or landscaping going on in the background. Perfect timing, of course, but I digress. So, yeah, that's tough. So only Pokemon that are in the Galar Index can be transferred to Pokemon Sword and Shield. So I'm assuming it was probably different for the other games like Sun and Moon, that you can basically transfer any Pokemon to some extent. Via, I think, Pokemon Bank was the primary bank for all Pokemon related stuff at the time. But that sucks, man. I know, at least kind of knowing, having to catch all my Pokemon and the history of all my Pokemon, that definitely would help me want to play the game more, knowing I have all the Pokemon I love and know, and maybe potentially having new ones that I encounter in this game that maybe I can incorporate with my team. It's pretty horrible, man. Pretty horrible. Maybe one possibility is that they can add everything else, add it all back in as DLC. At least that's maybe what a lot of other people are maybe theorizing. I could see that angle, but I don't know. It seems very cut off in terms of the decision they just made, so I don't see that actually happening, but we'll see. I think that's all I have news-wise today. So now that we got all that out the way, let's go into what I've been playing, watching per se. So first thing I need to talk about is, of course, Judgment. Been putting a pretty good amount of time into the game since the last podcast, and have been thoroughly enjoying the game, man. It's definitely has basically all the necessary bindings or necessities that are needed for a Yakuza game. The big one, most important one for me personally, is the Komaki Tiger Drop, or at least in this game they call it the Tiger Drop to not, I guess directly reference anything. But I know in the description of the move they said it was once belonged to this one legend of a man or something like that. But man, I swear, Komaki Tiger Drop, just have that counter in every game, I'd be satisfied. So fulfilling. But yeah, man, has a Komaki. That's all I needed. That's all I needed to make this game great. So the Komaki Tiger Drop, I'm still trying to explore some of the combos. I'm still unlocking a lot of his trees in terms of the character and stuff like that. But all in all, man, Jesus, it's great. So kind of like what I theorized. It's weird. Like the sub stories, at least, from previous Yakuza games, are now in this game. They're called subcases, as well as friends that you have to make friends with. And then additionally, girlfriends. I'm not sure. I think that's kind of branched out into its own thing too. So it feels like the sub content is kind of spread across all of those platforms now. So, but I don't really have an issue with it. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It still has the same appeal and kind of wackiness as the previous sub stories and the previous Yakuza games. So, I'm all for it either way. So, yeah, man. Like I said, I'm discovering a lot of the combos and playability. But yeah, I've been having a pretty great time just playing all the extra stuff. Been playing. They have like drone racing, which I think I mentioned earlier, isn't as bad, at least as what I thought. It doesn't seem to be a lot of random events or things that is out of your control compared to Pocket Racer. So that's pretty relieving to some extent. You still have to, put a lot of effort into getting necessary parts for you to obliterate, your competition in terms of those races and stuff. And it's additional stuff you got to earn for your character in terms of skills and abilities as well. But all in all, I am thoroughly enjoying the game just as much, if not maybe possibly. No, I can't say that. I think I still like just the familiarity with Kiryu and everybody still leans me towards the previous games, but this is still a worthwhile addition to the series as a whole, or not technically a series, but a spinoff, or not even a spinoff, its own new game, but you know what I mean. So, one thing I'm very insanely curious about is if you get an equivalent to Joamon. from the previous Yakuzas. For those that don't know, basically, if you do all the generally for most of the games, if you do all of the sub stories for the games, you'll get one final sub story that's basically a super hard boss battle with at least in terms of the lore of Yakuza, this whole history of the Amons, which is basically seems to be like a rival to the Kazama clan, or Tojo as a whole, or specifically Kiryu, where everybody in the family just wants to beat Kiryu's ass, and in some cases, at least specifically with Zero, wants to beat up what's his name, Goro Majima as well. So yeah, I really hope there's going to be some equivalent to that. I mean, it seems to be like the cookie cutter kind of basis to do that, but definitely hoping that is a thing. So definitely, if I remember, we'll definitely report if I ever happen to do it, unless the requirements are too unrealistic or just stupid or not even worth doing. But yeah, but all in all, very interested and having a good time with it. I do like the spin of the detective angle of being more analytical about stuff, as well as kind of looking into details about things and stuff like that. Is it a Phoenix Wright? Probably not, I'm guessing. I've yet to go into a courtroom other than a cutscene where I'm not even in control or whatever. I'm just basically in the audience. We'll see. I'm still holding out. That could be a possibility. Maybe your final showdown or something like that. That would be really cool. But part of me is still doubting that. But all in all, having a great time with that. Also managed to pick up Super Mario Maker 2, but I've yet to play that since Judgment's been taking up my time. It was a good sale where I guess if you go to a physical store, a brick and mortar store, you get it $10 off. So I'm like, I have to jump on that because Nintendo games, they never really go down in price at all. So I was like, go take advantage of that. So here we are, and it explains why I have games and never play them, because But I digress. Outside of that, that's pretty much all I've been doing gaming wise. Next thing I guess we'll talk about is of course Stranger Things season 3. It did come out, I think it came out the 4th. I'm pretty sure it came out either the 4th or maybe right before the 4th. But yeah, that's basically what I spent all of my 4th doing. Pretty much binge watching Stranger Things and putting in some Judgment time in there as well. But man, Stranger Things pretty good season this season. Trying to think, trying to compare to other seasons. I feel like season 1 was still the best, because I think it's just that illusion of mystery was a bit more appealing than this current one. It feels like we kind of know a good amount about these enemies from the upside down world and whatever, and I don't know, it's weird. It just feels like we know, if that makes sense. I mean, they kind of hinted about it in the second season, and then they kind of showed a lot of elements. I'm trying not to get too spoilery, but I don't know. Some of these enemies, like, okay. I mean, I'll give credit in terms of the first fair amount of episodes, maybe up to episode 5 or so. There was a lot of somewhat mystery about, like, are these people dead? Are they alive? Can they come back after they've been taken from these people, or what? It was very mysterious in terms of how that kind of worked out. And it's still kind of somewhat of a mystery still, it feels like, because it's like, for example, okay, I guess this will kind of get a little spoilery. So basically the one character from Stranger Things The new guy that comes in season 2, I forgot his name. I think his name is Billy, the dude with the mohawk that like is getting all the 40-year-old girls or 40-year-old moms or whatever. He's played by the same dude that was in that Power Rangers reboot like a couple years ago. He basically was taken by the mind flare, I believe, and then he managed to get out and then pulled back in, and then he's acting weird, seems a bit weird, but then they like mold into I'm still kind of somewhat unclear on that, but so basically they like the people mold into the mind flare, but they can unmold from him. It seems like it's weird. I don't know, but the impression I got is that once they've been taken, and there's really nothing else that can be done about it after that. So I don't know. I guess I kind of would like some more clarity on that, but I don't know. They still kind of made it seem like it could be another season. And at least towards the end, this might get somewhat spoilery too, but towards the end, they're back in Russia and they mention that leave the American, let's take this other guy and have him, get eaten by, I forgot what they call it, devil dog? I think devil dog or something like that. I'm curious what that other American is, who that other American is. I don't think it's the, I forgot his name. The weird looking balding guy that is very conspiracy heavy. I forgot his name. I totally forgot it. I forgot his name. But basically, I don't think it's him. I think it's Detective Hopper or what's his name? The police chief Hopper or whatever. I think it's him, even though it's pretty implied that he died. I think it's him, that he's just been held captive. He managed to escape that. I'm guessing my theories with the green acidic goo, where he was able to somehow get through that to some extent, even though it didn't show anything visibly visible for him to escape it. But I think it's somehow he got out of that to some extent, and he'll be the big surprise coming back in season 4 or something, if that comes to be. But I don't know. Overall, maybe I need some time to reflect on it a little bit more, but after everything was said and done, it was okay. I don't know. I think just the mystery about it all kind of helped in the kind of entertainment of it, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's hard to say. But I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I didn't stop watching it. So that's got to account for something, I'd assume. I don't know. I think I technically would put it. Yeah, I still feel season 1 was the best. Yeah, I don't know. Hard to say. It's hard to say. It's a few aspects I like more than other seasons, but vice versa for this season as well. You see a lot of everybody split apart conveniently. You see a lot of familiar character dynamics still being exploited more onto, which is okay to an extent, but I don't know. I feel like would have liked a little bit more diversity in terms of the characters, in terms of their dynamics and grouping, if you will. But I don't know. But all in all, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it still either way. Specifically comparing to other seasons of Stranger Things, though, I don't know. I think the first one was still pretty strong. But I don't know, maybe it's just dynamic that they're older now, and a lot of the dynamics are changing and stuff like that. Hard to say how much that kind of comes into play, but still, I don't know. But yeah, that was a pretty interesting showing. It's pretty much what I saw there. Also finally saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse on it was on Netflix, so I caught that. Pretty good. It wasn't as, I guess, wasn't as big as what I think a lot of people made it out to be, it feels like. It didn't feel like, oh man, I had to rush to the theater to watch this. Like watching it, in retrospect, it was like, yeah, I could have waited on this. So I'm kind of glad I didn't go out to see it, specifically in that case, but it had a lot of cool moments, a lot of cool references, and a lot of fan service for sure. But all in all, I guess I wasn't too crazy about it, wasn't too wild about it. It was definitely a good movie for sure. But yeah, it would have been one I definitely would have wanted to wait on, personally. So, but yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Liked all the references and, previous characters and stuff like that. It was pretty good. So, yeah, trying to think anything else substantial. Plan to see the new Spider-Man that came out soon. I think that's all that's coming, at least in the horizon. But yeah. So other than that, a little bit of housekeeping, of course. You can catch me on Twitch TV /aswitch. You can also follow me on Twitter at or you can follow me on Twitter at aswitch. You can also follow me or subscribe. Well, I guess you can only subscribe on YouTube on youtube.com /aswitch as well. You can also catch these podcasts and possibly other content I may decide to post whenever I figure stuff out on my website at aswitch.net. At least currently now it's only just podcasts, but at least somewhat intending to plan to kind of revamp it and add some other stuff that may tickle your fancy, but yeah, is that all the housekeeping? Of course, you can also, if you want to support this podcast and keep things going, please, if you can, rate, love on your favorite podcast platforms, which this podcast is currently on, which is Google Podcast, I think it's Google Music, Spotify, and iTunes Podcast, or Apple Podcasts, my bad. They keep changing it all the time. But yeah, guys, until next time. Oh, I forgot to. Of course, any questions that you like to submit to the show that you like to be answered on the next episode, feel free to submit at aswitchtv@gmail.com as well. And who knows, you might get a question answered, and we'll have maybe a interesting discussion. Who knows? But yeah, guys, until next time, hope you guys had a happy 4th of July, and we'll have a happy 4th of July weekend. Oh yeah.